That was a big wrestling match I got in one time. I was fishing on Burnville Lake, and after you leave the marina down there, there's a big turn to go around. The lake must be 200 yards wide. I saw something bobbing. It was a deer crossing the lake. I thought it was a log, but it was a deer snake. I decided I'd give it a hand, go up and grab a hold of it, haul it over to the other side of the lake. Had to let go. I thought it was going to kick a hole in the lake.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was happy
All right, didn't see him, but you
Now we can do it. Actually, I'm gonna turn this microphone. Can you hear me? They don't need to be turned up? Okay. Then welcome to the October 2025 club meeting. Thank you guys all for coming out. Excited to see you. Thanks again to Linda for providing the snacks. Make sure you get bunches of those. It looks and smells fantastic. We're going to get started as we normally do, and then we're going to switch things up a little bit this evening. I know we have a winter roundtable where we're going to talk about winterizing. Before that, we plan to have the DNR officer come and talk about bears. Oh man, bears. But he actually was already here and got a call and had to leave. So he will hopefully be back, and if he's not, we're going to kind of roll through the rest of what we've got planned without him, which is absolutely fine. He was kind of a late-minute addition, but we're just excited to have him. So we'll roll with the punches as they go, but we'll get started as we normally do, and I'll invite Pat to get us started with communication.
Exactly, yeah.
Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There we go. That's so dark. Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple little humorous stories here I like to read. Can you hear me now? A little girl was sitting on her grandfather's lap as he read her a bedtime story. From time to time, she would take her eyes off the book and reach up to touch his wrinkled cheek. She was alternately stroking her own cheek, then his again. Finally, she spoke up. Grandpa, did God make you? Yes, sweetheart, he answered. God made me a long time ago. Grandpa, did God make me too? Yes, indeed, honey, he said. God made you just a little while ago. Feeling her respective faces again, she observed, God's getting better at it, isn't he? After putting her grandchildren to bed, a grandmother changed into old slacks and a droopy blouse and proceeded to wash her hair. As she heard the children getting more and more rambunctious, her patience grew thin. Finally, she threw a towel around her head and stormed into their room, putting them back to bed with stern warnings. As she left the room, she heard the 3-year-old say with a trembling voice, "Who was that?" Have any of you ever had that? Who am I? I have a little special thing here I like to read. It's called October Beekeepers' Prayer. O Lord of seasons, hear our song, as autumn's chill comes creeping strong. The flowers fade, the skies turn gray, and dreary rains mark shortened day. Grant us wisdom, steady sight, to judge our hives with care and might, to weigh their strength, their food, their frame, so winter's trials they may tame. Help us act with purpose clear, not ruled by worry, doubt, or fear, for spring's renewal waits in trust, if now we labor as we must. Protect our bees from foes that bite. The beetles crawl, the varroa blight. From skunks that scratch in midnight glares, and most of all from hungry bears. And I don't know how to use this. Mike,
Yes.
I can't get it out.
Oh, yeah, just scroll.
Yeah.
The Lord will understand.
Okay. Yes, Lord, those brutes with honeyed jaws who pay no heed to keepers' laws, remind us all, both young and wise, to register each precious hive. For if a Bruin breaks our stores, we'll seek protection and perhaps restore. So bless this guide, this keeper's band, who work with heart and patient hand. And thank you, Lord, for gifts we see, for life, for love, for family. But most of all, on bended knees, we praise you for your honeybees. And Lord, we ask that you bless the food that we're about to partake. Bless the one that prepared it. In Jesus' name, amen. And before I finish this little poem, I just want to let everyone know that it was actually written by one of our known beekeepers here, Jamie White, and I thought she did a great job.
Awesome, thank you so much. Oh wait, that's not my computer, I'm not reading that. We already did that one. That's fine. Not my way. I normally put my thing down here anyway. You're next. Yeah. All right. Before we do our standard meeting, Jamie is gonna come talk to us for just a couple quick seconds about, well, Jamie, what are you talking about?
Preparing your hives for winter.
So it's going to be a quick monologue about preparing your hives for winter before we have our roundtable. So please give Jamie your attention.
Okay.
Can I put your name on the screen?
Okay, can we get this time?
Nope. Oh, you can't have your name on the screen and the slideshow though.
I think I'm gonna go this if we're here. Let me take a. I might have to shut this down. Okay, so as you can see up above, it's a slideshow. I mean, I can just.
No.
Slideshow right there.
There you go.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Okay.
sorry, you're good.
So, prepping your bees for winter, I'm Jamie. Yes, ma'am.
Can you go to the mic, please? No,
Yes.
you know.
Okay,
Thank you.
can you hear me better?
Yes.
You really don't want to hear me better.
Yes, you do.
Okay, so notice I have some initials after my name. It's so I feel special because all important people have initials after their name. And you probably think that means West Virginia Master Beekeeper because that's what I am working toward, but actually the W means wannabe Master Beekeeper. So after that introduction, I'm going to talk to you about preparing your bees for winter. And you see this first slide, it's very important because some of you might actually be doing this right now. Anybody stressed out about preparing your bees for winter at this point? Just a little bit, yeah? See, thank you for your honesty. Everybody else, you guys should be honest. Okay, so that's slide number 2. I told you I would not talk too much. Okay, so the first thing is we stress out, right? Because winter is important. Bees can die if they are not properly prepared. Okay, so the second slide is on work. We have work to do. But I also, when I was putting this together, I was thinking about the bees and how much work they do all summer long if you think about it, all summer long, starting the very first day in spring, that the temperature gets above 70 degrees, but actually they can come out sooner than that, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, so the bees are working very hard all spring and summer to get ready for winter. And we're just now thinking about it in the fall, shame on us. But now we're working to get them ready before it's too late. And then once we have them ready, we can sit back and relax for a couple of months. Now those poor bees, they're not relaxing. We think they are because we are, but actually they're in there working very hard to stay warm all winter. So we'll talk about that too. Okay, Mike, I just want to point out, I just went through 4 slides. Okay.
I'm counting.
Okay, so Mother Nature knows best. Natural sources of nectar, pollen, water, and propolis are best for honeybees. Okay, so at this point, I just want to say to you, I'm going to talk to you a lot about some very unnatural things that we do to our bees to prepare them for winter. But I want to reiterate that natural sources of nectar, pollen, water, and propolis are very, very important, and they are best for our bees. So if you want to help your bees, plant trees, because one tree can provide 2, 3, 4 acres worth of nectar and pollen compared to 4 acres of flowers, right? And also, once your trees get started, they're more reliable than the flowers that you're going to plant. Okay, so again, Mother Nature knows best. If you really want to help prepare your bees for winter, start thinking about ways that you can provide more natural sources of pollen, nectar, and water. We can't do too much with the water, unless we're talking about like maybe making a pond or things like that. But if you don't have bees, or this winter you're willing to move your bees, relocate them closer to a natural water source, you can do that. That's an option. But I just want you to be thinking about ways that you can help the bees by providing those natural sources. Okay. The next thing I really want to reiterate is best beekeeper practices. So a frame of mind that all beekeepers should have is that we're here to assist the bees in doing what they naturally do, not dominate. Now, this might be a new philosophy for some of you, because when you come to the beekeeping class, we're talking to you about all the things you're going to do as beekeepers, right? We're not talking to you about sit back, let the bees be, let them go out and pollinate. We're telling you what to do, right? So it kind of leads you to a frame of mind that you have to do something to manipulate those bees. But actually, the best beekeepers let the bees do what they naturally do best. Now, I say that kind of tongue in cheek because we put them in a box, and that's an unnatural situation for them. So there are things that we have to do to help the bees. So, but coming to that, if we first think that we're here to assist them and not dominate, then it leads us to the next thing, which is to think ahead, okay? A good rule of thumb is to think 6 months ahead. Right now, we're thinking about March for our bees. So what we do right now is going to directly affect what happens in March with our bees. So a good rule of thumb is thinking 6 months ahead. And then finally, to be open to scientific principles and established facts. Now, I kind of laughed. I was reading these slides to my son today, and he kind of laughed when I read that one, because he's like, science, what is science? And of course, he's a snarky teenager. But I got his point, because a lot of things that we call science today are actually not science. They are someone's opinion, or they are something that we have accepted as a truth for so long that we now call it a fact, okay? So I would encourage you to do some research and, go deep with this and, find the principles and the facts that apply to you and your bees where they are. And I might explain that later, but since we don't have a whole lot of time, I'm not going to explain it right now. I'm just going to say that there are certain things, certain facts, certain temperatures, things like that, that if you understand them, it can help you be a better beekeeper. Okay, moving on. So seasonal resource comparison. This didn't work out the way that I had hoped it would, because I put too much in the middle. But what I was trying to do, when you see that slide, I was hoping that you would see the first part is longer and the third part is longer than the middle part. And the point of that is that in the end of winter and the beginning of spring, and then in the fall, preparing for winter, that is where most of our interaction, most of our work with our bees is happening. So if we look at the beginning of the year, in the hive, the queen is starting to lay. And it's also the time where we have the most concern for starvation, because all winter long, they've been eating their honey stores, and that's the only source of food that they have, unless we as the beekeeper provided some fondant or dry sugar, whatever supplement that we can. Now, I'm gonna point out again, Mother Nature knows best. So the winter supplements that we give, those are emergency foods. Those shouldn't be thought of as just what we do. Those should be thought of as emergency foods. Because all summer long, those bees should be stocking up their shelf and preparing for winter, and they know what they're doing, so what they do should be adequate. Okay, so again, winter's in spring, fall, winter, that's when most of the work is happening. In the spring, we can do emergency feeding. We can give a pollen substitute. I don't ever recommend that you put the pollen in the hive, because that can stimulate the queen to start laying too early, and then she may not have enough workers to keep the brood, the developing brood, warm. So I think it was Steve Rapasky that said, it was one of those, a professional beekeeper that I got the idea from, that you should never put pollen in your hive, but always put the pollen substitute outside the hive in feeders. And when the bees are ready for it, they will go out to get it. Okay, so going down, natural pollen and nectar, a heavy flow starts up in the spring, okay? Propolis and water are abundant, except when you're doing splits, when you're medicating, or there's a natural disaster. Now, what I meant by that was, so the greatest concern comes at the end of winter, early spring. And then after that, there's a heavy flow, so you can kind of, once you've done your inspection, once you've gotten, made sure that your colony is healthy and ready to go, then if you do a split, you may have to feed them. It's recommended that you feed a 1-to-1 sugar syrup just to stimulate the wax building and also the brood laying, egg laying. And then, of course, if you have any like nosema, something that you might have to medicate for, sometimes it's recommended that you feed at that point. And then natural disasters, well, you can imagine what those would be and interactions you might have to do. Now, to go over to the summer, the column in summer. So there's, this summer should be like your time that you kind of relax, because there's tons of pollen, tons of nectar, all kinds of, water is available unless there's a drought. Propolis comes along with the growing plants. And again, there's exceptions, like if you do a split, or like for me, I lost about 120 frames last year to wax moths, because my kids had stored my frames improperly, and I didn't look at them in storage, and they were completely ruined by wax moths. And also I had some damage from mice during the winter, so when I got into my stores this spring, I actually had to have my bees, my 7 hives, draw out combs on at least 120 frames. So I feel like applauding my bees at this point, because I went from 6 hives to 16 hives, and those girls drew out all those frames, because every one of my frames is drawn out today, and they did that over the summer, along with keeping their own hives going. So what I would do is I would put an empty frame in a hive, and I would feed them, so they would draw that comb out, and then I would steal that comb and put it in a different hive. And I did that with 120 frames over the summer, so that I could have enough for all of my hives by this point to get through winter. So anyway, to get into fall and then the winter prep. So Right now, we are at the winter prep. I put post-dearth fall blooms. So we all know there's a point in July, I think that's when a lot of people do their extraction, and then we get into August and there's not a whole lot blooming. And then we have a point where the goldenrod and the asters and what's the other one? The wingstem, which is an aster, it comes out, and then you have a chance for a second honey extraction. That's what I'm saying, or that's what I'm terming as post-dearth. And this year was extraordinary because of that, the rain, the extra rain that we had in the end of spring and early summer. It caused the asters to start blooming in the end of July. Second week of July is when I first saw them. And I panicked because I thought, oh my gosh, we're gonna have an early winter. But that's not what that meant. It actually was because of all the extra water we had. It caused the wingstem, those yellow flowers that we saw for like 2 whole months, 3 whole months, 2.5 months, to come out early. And that gave the bees extra food. So now I'm getting a fall harvest from all of those asters that came out early. And I've never had a fall harvest before. So anyway, there is an opportunity for not only a fall harvest, but it's an opportunity for your bees to be storing up the pollen and the nectar. Okay, and also water and propolis are available. So at this point, really, if your bees have been doing what they should be doing, your boxes should feel like when you go to the back of your box, we call it back lifting, and you try to lift it up, it should feel like a box of rocks, really. It should be that heavy. And do we have that?
There's one right beside you there. There's a
Okay.
5 box with 2 cap blocks and there's 69 pounds of weight in that 5 there.
Okay,
Back
so-
to that and see what a good find.
So Linda brought that for you all to kind of try the experiment. Go to the back of that and try to lift it up. That's what your hive should feel like today. And if it doesn't, good luck. I'm just kidding. You need to feed, yeah. 2 to 1, not 1 to 1. Okay, moving on. So that's what that last line is. Make sure your hive feels like a box of bricks or a box of rocks. Okay, understanding honeybee nutritional needs for winter preparation. Okay, so we all, I hope by this point, everyone understands that bees go out, collect nectar from the flowers, and the nectar is converted into honey, and that's their source of carbohydrate, right? Carbohydrate is energy for the bees, right? And it serves as their primary energy source during winter when foraging is impossible. And they need adequate stores to make it through the winter because they're not going to be able to go out and collect new stuff. Okay, why does honey storage matter? Because unlike other insects that die off during the winter, honeybees overwinter as a colony, and they need a steady food source when the flowers are gone. So honey is their concentrated shelf-stable energy source. So by the end of this month, all of their honey in the hive should be cured and ready for them to start enjoying for the winter. Okay, moving on. So what this picture is about, I wanted to impress on you the fact that their honey is their fuel source. Okay, so all winter they're in the hive, clustered together in a tight ball, and they're in there vibrating their wings to stay warm. They have to have honey in order to do this. That the honey is their energy source. And it requires enormous calories to keep this going. Now, the next slide, prepare yourself, because I love the next slides. Incubator bees. Have anybody ever heard of incubator bees? I knew Christian would raise his hand. Oh, okay. So at this point, I want to point out, because this is actually where I read about it. So this is the Diana Salmatara and Alphonse Abidabal, I think is his last name. Anyway, this is the handbook for the certified level of the Master Beekeeper program. And this is what you have to read and know by heart in order to pass the test and supposedly be a good beekeeper. But I'm not going to talk about that at this moment. What I'm going to talk about is, I actually read this about the incubator bee, and it actually comes from another book called The Buzz About Bees, which you can read about. It's in the resources at the end. So anyway, incubator bees, fascinating. You can read the slide up there. I mean, they basically press their thorax against the brood comb to keep it warm. And they can maintain a temperature of 109 degrees for 30 minutes. Can you imagine? 109 degrees for 30 minutes. Like, yeah, that blows my mind. Anyway, after the 30 minutes though, they are completely spent to the point that they sometimes can't move. So then they have what I call filling station bees. Who remembers the filling station attendants? See, that was actually before my time. I don't remember it, but my parents told me about it. So anyway, filling station bees are bees that come and actually feed these incubator bees, okay? Because sometimes they have spent every last calorie and they can't make it to where the honey is stored. So these filling station bees come and feed them in the same way that workers would feed like a drone or the queen. They do the same thing for these incubator bees. Now, someone asked the question, can all bees be incubator bees? It kind of makes sense that all workers could have the potential to be that, but they wouldn't all be that at the same time because you're gonna need bees all through winter, keeping the heat. So when one incubator, passes away, because we know that they only live for 6 months in the winter on average, then someone else probably steps up and take their place. So it would make sense that they all have that capability to be able to do that. But anyway, I just thought that was fascinating, and that's why I wanted to interject it here, because they need the carbohydrate from honey in order to be able to provide that energy to do that. Okay, so the nutritional needs, the pollen provides the protein necessary for the brood development in the bee colonies, and obviously we need an adequate amount of pollen to support overall health. Now, how do you ensure sufficient pollen before winter? Well, you tell your bees to go out and get pollen. I'm just kidding. It goes back to what I was saying. Really, the only thing you can do there is to pollen sub, if you look in there and see that they don't have adequate stores. And thinking long-term, you can plant things that produce high pollen. Now, what does that mean? How do I know if they have enough pollen? So I look into the hive. I need at least 5 solid frames, 3 to 5 solid frames of bee bread. Do you guys know what bee bread is? Is there anyone that wants me to explain what bee bread is? No, perfect. Yes? You want me to explain that? Okay, so we know that worker bees have corbicula. That's that sac on the back of their leg, right? And when they go to pollinate a flower, they collect bits of pollen and then they bring it back to the hive. Now, when they get to the hive, they don't pass it off to another worker. They actually go to the cell and scrape their leg against the side of the cell. And then a worker bee within the cell will come over and add saliva to that. I forgot, this is my favorite part. They actually will pack it down with their head, and then they add saliva to it. And they repeat this process over and over until the cell is about filled up. And then once it's filled up, they cap it over with a thin capping of honey. And so pollen, natural pollen will ferment, but if they add their enzymes to it, that causes a chemical change. And it actually is fermented, but it becomes bee bread, and bee bread can be stored over the winter. So it doesn't spoil, and that honey capping ensures that. Okay, do I need to explain that any further? No, okay, great. Okay, so next slide. So the importance of pollen. Okay, and then I just wanted to add this about water and propolis, because all metabolic functions require water. So water is essential. Make sure that your bees have a natural source of water. And then propolis, you probably know this also, propolis acts as a sealant within the hive, and it also acts to protect the bees against pathogens. So it seals and it sanitizes the hive. So if you're getting into your hive right now and you're getting ticked off because, man, I can't get these darn frames out, don't get mad. Realize that your bees are very, very healthy and they're doing just what they should, because that propolis is keeping them alive. So thumbs up to the bees making a mess for us. Okay, next one. All right, this is, so the temperatures there, again, that comes from this book, but I kind of used AI to recreate that. So if you want to take a picture of it, go ahead. But I want to tell you that when I was explaining to AI what I wanted it to do there, it actually got something wrong, which is that brew this winter cluster is actually 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So not the 57. 57 degrees is when the cluster forms. Now somebody asked me, because I was explaining this to someone the other day, and they said 57 degrees, is that outside the hive or is that inside the hive? I said, that's outside the hive. And he's like, well, how do they know? Like, I said, I don't know, they just do know, okay? And how do we know that they do that? Well, they use infrared photography to know these things. Like, they actually study the hive. So we're gonna take, you just have to take my word for granted because I don't have an infrared camera. But anyway, so the 2 points just to remember is that as the temperature grows, the temperature outside the hive goes up, the foraging activities of the bees go up. As the temperature goes down, the activity goes down, and then they have to rely on the stores within the colony. So right now, you're seeing 40-degree night, well, not last night, since we got this weather that just came in, I saw like, I think upper 50s last night, but before that, I was seeing 40-degree nights, and then in the morning, it's not warming up until like noon. Now, why that's important to us right now is because bees will not take syrup when it's 50 degrees or lower. So if any of you have syrup on your hives right now, and you're wondering why the bees aren't taking it, it's because if you're leaving it there overnight, it's not warming up enough for them to take it. So what I started doing was I actually take my feed off in the evening, and then I put some warm feed on in the morning, and then they can take that. So anyway, this is a chart, like I said, brood stops at 100 degrees and they need water. And you can read all that if you want to take a picture, go ahead. So the point about using scientific facts, use those temperatures to guide you with your bees. Okay, bee behavior during prolonged poor weather. So rain and cold weather reduce their ability to forage and limit their access to nectar and pollen. They consume the stored honey rapidly during the poor weather. And then if the stored resources are low, extended bad weather causes stress that threatens the colony. So I just put that picture in there. You know, bees probably aren't in there feeling sorry for themselves, but we sometimes think they are, and that maybe makes us feel guilty, so we try to help them. But if the bees, again, if they have enough natural resources, they're not gonna have a problem. Syrup feeding limitations and use of dry sugar. Okay, so I already mentioned that below 50 degrees, it reduces their activity. The reason that they don't drink the syrup is not because of this girl saying, I don't like the syrup. It's actually because they're not warm enough for them to move around. Their muscles aren't warm enough. So they can't get to the syrup, which is usually up above or in a, inner feeder. So they're actually tightly knit together. Okay, colony size determined. All right, so these are some of the things to think about. So again, when you pick up your box, you're gonna wanna make sure that it's full of honey and it's gonna feel heavy. When you look at your box, when you open it up, you should see bees covering the top of it. That's an indication that you have a full hive and that there's gonna be enough workers to keep the hive warm throughout winter. Now, what if you look into your box and only 3 of the frames are covered? I'm talking about a single deep here, but you could apply this to a double deep too. What if you look in there and only 3 frames or 4 frames are covered? What do you do? Does anybody know? What do you do, Chance? Put them, okay, you can put them in a nuke. So you reduce the size of the hive, which means you reduce the work that the bees have to do to keep the hive warm. Okay, that's one way to solve that problem. What else could you do? Combine them. Thank you, Charlie. So you can combine the workforce. Now, there's different opinions on how you do this. Shanda King, the state apiarist, says throw the queens together and let them decide who's going to be boss. I have never had to make that choice because I have family members who don't mind pinching mean queens. But I also last year just combined 2 queens, and in the spring there was one alive and I didn't have to worry about it. So I'll let you decide how you want to handle that. But yes, you can reduce the size of the hive by putting them in new boxes, or you can combine weaker colonies. The key is to have enough bees to keep the hive warm and get through winter. Okay, moving on. Okay, so putting it all together. Thinking ahead, so these are the things that I want you to keep in mind. So evaluate your colony strength before the winter challenge arrives. So look at how big your hive is. Decide right now, today, do I need to combine hives? Do I need to reduce the size? Monitor your food stores. So pick up the back of your hive. Is it heavy? You know, test and treat for pests. We all know varroa mites are just a reality of keeping bees. So at this point, you should test your mite levels and treat if necessary. And then finally, provide supplements early to support colony health if you need to. Okay, natural food stores, we already talked about that. Next one. Responsible. Okay, this is another key thing that we often don't think about, because we think, well, we have bees because we want honey and I can take as much honey as I want, whatever. Everybody has a different opinion about that. And when I first got bees, I had full-size hives, but I chose not to harvest any honey that year because I just wanted to train myself to think of the bees first. So I didn't take any honey that first year. Now, that's up to you when you take honey, but make sure that your bees have enough honey to get through winter. And you do that, again, by making sure that the box is full of honey and pollen. And because the natural honey is better for them, you don't want to have to rely on the sugar and the fondant to get them through winter. Okay, so this is the next one. In conclusion, I just wanted to review, Mother Nature knows best. Natural pollen, nectar, and water sources are best for your bees. Think of supplemental nutrition as for emergency only. Make use of the scientific principles. I spelled principle wrong, sorry about that. Think ahead 6 months in advance and be thoughtful and do your best for your bees. Okay, any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, you had a slide with a thermometer on it.
Okay.
In the lower right corner, it said minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit cluster die. Should I interpret that as at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or less, the cluster will die?
Yeah.
Because at minus 40, I might have trouble too.
Yeah, okay. So that was actually included in the book, and I only put it in here because I thought it was funny. But I actually lived in North Dakota, and I had a huge 40 by 80 Quonset that my friend who had bees thought would be a good place to overwinter his bees. But the reality is it does get down to minus 40, and the bees did die. So, and it's funny to us because it never gets that cold here, but up there, that's a reality. That's why they put block heaters on their cars, you know. So anyway, yes, I appreciate your attention to detail. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, any other questions? Anything? Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, and there's the reference that I was talking about earlier, The Buzz About Bees by Jay Tons. He's the one that wrote about the incubator bees and did that whole long study. It's actually a book, so if you're interested in that, it would be probably a good read. Okay, well, thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Good information. I think one of the best ways to learn is to teach. So it's awesome that we have members who are interested in getting here and helping teach. And if any of you guys are ever interested in talking for even 10 minutes, let us know, because we love having things like this happen at club meetings where we can all learn together. So thank you again. All right, and we're going to go ahead and move directly on to the next part of our meeting. As I told you guys before, we have an officer from the DNR here to give us some information on bears, which can be pertinent to this time of year specifically. So without much further ado, I'm going to introduce Officer Clevenger.
So I don't have the slides and stuff like she did.
Do you need me to pass something out?
Yeah, so listen, what I did, if there's some of you that's here together or whatever. There's 25 here, and I wanted to go over this paperwork when Mr. and Mrs. Abel had me speak at, where was that at? Down at Marion. I didn't pass a lot of this out, and I thought this time we'd go over it a little bit, and I just did bear damage for Mets. I don't know why I keep wanting to call you Wetzel. It's been a long 2 weeks. But I just wanted to go over some of this paperwork. So there's 25 in there, and we'll go over it real quick, and then I'll explain to you some of the stuff that we do, and with Mr. Metz, kind of how we did it. Now, with that said, that's how we do it here in Mon County. I don't know how the other counties do it. A lot of the guys that I've trained should do it this way. And first off, you all know way more about this bee stuff than I do. Okay? So if you ever get one of these guys in brown come up and they start acting like they know what they're doing, they don't. Well, you guys do this every day. I don't. So I've had a couple of the, I don't know, presidents or whatever you want to call it, of the Beekeeper Association down in Tucker County. He's the one that kind of trained me on this many, many moons ago. And a lot of stuff has changed. The one thing that hasn't changed is our wildlife section is the one that's over this. So all this paperwork that we do gets turned into our wildlife section. And they're very, very particular about what we put on here. With that said, we as the law enforcement do not regulate the pricing that's on here, which doesn't cover what it should if a bear gets your hive or your boxes or whatever, okay? I do a lot of crop damage, corn, stuff like that, and I'm like, geez, criminy, just, you know, it doesn't cover what the fuel and all that. They just pay for the actual damage. I don't know how they regulate that, but they've been doing it way before I got in this department. They've been doing it this way. So don't yell at me because they're not paying you what you're worth. All right. Like I said, we don't regulate it. The first thing on here, so if you don't mind me telling your business. Okay. So Mr. Metz called, he said, hey, I had a bear attack my hive. I said, you killed a bear? He said, no. I said, well, all right. So I met him up at the place where he kept the hive. A lot of the people that I deal with, it's not their property, it's somebody else's property, okay? So we have to watch when we fill out this form. Everything's got to match correctly. And believe me, I've gotten many arguments with our people that don't do this, that want us to do it, that we don't get nothing out of it anyways. But I have a lot of arguments with them on some of this stuff. But one of the things that we have to fill out is this wildlife damage, okay? The way I do it is I fill this out, but I'll go through the other papers first. And if you all have bear damage, you want to make sure that the officer gives you this last sheet right here. It's a pink sheet. It's just this all carbon copy. You want to make sure that you get this, and it has on there what you are owed. This is the only receipt that you have. And then people down there will lose paperwork. Trust me. I actually got a file in there that I can go back 3 years. I do it I can go back 3 years and I can tell you who got what and what it was for, price-wise. I ain't about paperwork, so. But I made sure Mr. Metz got this, and then when we got done, damage was X amount of dollars. And this is the only receipt you have. And it might take them 6 months before you get, your money back from the state. How long did it take you to get yours? Sometimes are good, sometimes are not. Just depends on what time of the year it is. But on that first page that I gave you, it's basically, it's a synopsis of what you're supposed to do. So look, Mr. Metz, I called him and he was on top of some mountain out in where?
Yosemite.
Yeah, and I'm like, how do you know you got bear damage? You're clear out there. So, but anyways, I told him, I was like, look, let's not worry about that right now. You go on your vacation. What this thing says is within 72 hours that you find the damage, you have to contact us. So if you find it on a Friday after 4 o'clock, come Monday at 9 o'clock, you need to call our office, okay? And I've had them sit there and question, like, well, you put down the damage was on this date, but you didn't get notified till this date. Well, yeah, the office was closed. That's why. They didn't have my personal cell phone number. So what do you want them to do? Or Monday, like, if you find it Friday, Monday's a holiday. They're not in there. So you wouldn't be able to call them Tuesday, okay? I figure that out on my paperwork. So it's within the 72 hours. Not that I lie on here, but I have. It just makes it easier, all right? And basically that's what it's saying. On the next page, this is a bear damage report. And like I said, the big stickler is like, I was doing it, guys, and I put, say, I don't know, what's your middle initial, Mr. Metz?
R.
It says Charles R. Metz. What's your, is it Robert or what? So on the other page, I put Charles Robert Metz. And they're like, wait a minute, that don't match. I'm like, it's the same freaking person. But that's how they are, okay? And they just, you know, and then Mrs. Abel, I forget what happened to yours that I had to come back up and redo the whole thing. There was something, it was the tax thing, wasn't it? Didn't match or, I don't know, it was the same stuff. But they asked for a social security number or the FIN number. The social security number is used to track your payment. That's the only thing it's used for, okay? Down here on the bottom, it'll have the county, the date that the damage was discovered, the date the damage was occurred. That's where I make sure it's within that 72 hours. And that has to match everything on this page. All right? So when we're filling this out, you got to keep in mind. So this is why when I do it, you all are right there beside of me when I'm doing it. Okay. Of course, there's a thing about the bear on here. We used to have to get 3 different appraisals. There's a guy at Westover PD. His name's Lieutenant Harper. He signs bear damages for me all the time. Has no idea what he's signing. But the state says that we have to have these appraisers, and Roy signs them. All right? It's crazy.
Are you allowed to shoot the bear?
I'll get to that. You're on the kill stuff. Ain't you? I like, where you at? I like you. Listen, I like bears from a distance, but they tear some stuff up. And they will not leave until that food source is gone. All right. And then we have to have all of our stuff down here. And there's 2 different places that you have to sign. And they get on to us down here at the bottom. It says the above is or is not valid. If you don't circle one of them, they'll kick the whole thing back. Yeah, it's just crazy. But I'm kind of used to it now. I've been doing this a few years. On the next one's a W-9. It has to be filled out just with your name and all that. I don't know if some of you have businesses that it's under or not, but it just needs filled out. And then the last page here is an insurance statement. They need to know whether you have insurance on your bees or not, because if you have insurance, then depending upon what that covers, and I don't know. But I've never heard of any. I've done this since 2003. Yes. I've never had anybody ever have insurance on their bees. I don't know if people do or they don't, but I've never run into anybody yet. Okay? Do what? What? Yeah, well, so, yeah, but the paperwork still gotta be filled out. I've never run into anybody that's had insurance yet on their stuff. And then this thing, after many, many years, they finally got these lines straight on here. Because we used to have to fill 3 of these things out, and they all said the same thing, okay? And I used to hold them up to the car window while you all were standing there, and I'd have to take my paper like that, and I'd have to go through, because I could see the one in the back and make sure they lined up, so I didn't have to ask you all the same questions all over again, all right? And the lines were crooked, so you had to make sure that you didn't mark the different ones, so they fixed that. But me and Mr. Metz, we just went down through there. Like, I don't know what 10 wire deep foundations are between that and the plastic. I'm guessing one's wired, one's plastic. That's as far as I know about them, okay? I've done this a long time. You all know what's contained in these boxes and what everything's in there, all right? It's just how it is. I'm not going to sit there and try to, say that, you have this when you don't. I don't know what you have. That's why I ask. Okay. The way that I did this in Tucker County with the gentleman there, I can't think of his name. This guy had bear damage like every other month, and he had hives all over Tucker County. So, like, I did not need to know his social security number. I had it. But I learned a lot from him. One, I learned off, bees are really pissed off when they see brown. So I don't get near the hive. Okay? I did not know that the suit you all wear smelled that bad of smoke. Because he had me wear one, and I mean, it's pretty neat, but, but we'll go down, I'll go down through each line. Nope, I don't have it. Nope, I don't have it. Yes, I have that. Well, how many? Well, it'd be 1, and I mark 1, and if it's $28.26, over in the other column, I put 28.26. And then by the time I'm done, I add everything up. All right? And there may be instances, like, I'll just tell you, Mr. Metz didn't want to take his quarter white paint. I said, yes, you're taking your quarter white paint, because then next time if you have bear damage, I ain't got to put it on there. Okay? Because you already got it last time, right? Ain't that what happened? So I work it out with you all, and not that I'm trying to give you free money. It ain't my money. But I've also had people that I've dealt with, they're like, well, this one's busted up. I can go ahead and fix this one and that. And then, you understand what I mean? But the next time I do it, I'm like, wait a minute, you fixed it last time. You're getting this one this time. Okay? And most of you that we deal with, they're like, nah. And I'm like, yeah, you're getting it. Daggone it. I already marked it on there. You got paint last time. Nope, still got paint. Don't need paint this time. Okay? That's how it's supposed to work. Because you all are not getting paid from the state what's really it costs on here. I know that. All right. Anybody tells you otherwise is a liar. Now, with that said, don't be going to telling on my bosses and all that what I just told you. But we get it worked out. Okay. As long as you guys get taken care of and you're happy, like I said, I don't set the price. None of us do. That's the only thing we're concerned about. But after I get done with my column here, I add everything up, and then the last thing I put on this down here, it says value to be paid. Whatever that is goes on here, and you get this pink sheet, and you make sure that you get this pink sheet off that officer. It says right here on the bottom, or used to. This actually goes to you all, okay? Make sure you get that and make sure right here, it says what the value of the damage is. All right? I've had people call, they're calling me, they're like, hey, I didn't get my check. I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know what to tell you. This is the number. They call down there, and then they have no record of nothing. And I'm like, look, I turned it in. I got, my boss even knows I turned it in. It gets shipped over to a wildlife section, and this goes from the Farmington office, somehow transfers clear to Elkins or French Creek now or wherever it goes. So I don't know how many hands are in it, but this is the only receipt that you all have. Make sure you get it, all right? We can issue, used to, when I first started, you had to have, I think it was 2 different damages before I could issue a bear permit. Now I can do it on the first one. Was it 3? It might have been 3. But on the third one I could issue or something. They changed a lot of stuff. Now I can issue it. I don't even have to do all this paperwork right here for you. If you don't want it done, I can just issue a bear damage tag and you can kill the bear. Okay? Now, with that said, if you're inside the city limits and the housing development and all that other stuff, ain't happening. I don't care if it's with a crossbow or bow. I will not issue it because my name's on that thing. I don't want to be associated with it, especially if you miss and it goes in side of somebody's house or car or whatever. Okay. Most of you have stuff that's out in the country. If it's on somebody else's property, like Mr. Metz, I could have gave him one. I didn't, did it? No. Okay, just checking. But I can't, listen, my son just got married this weekend, so my brain is like, from me and my wife fought more over his wedding than we did building a house. All right. Now they're on vacation in Punta Cana, sent us all these pictures, and I got his 6-month-old lab, and I swear is on crack. With my dog, who's the DNR's dog, that I'm worried them two are going to get in a fight, and then so it just been a rough couple of weeks. But anyways, I can issue, like, where his beehives were at was on your son's property, correct? So I would actually have to get his son's approval and issue his son the crop damage permit. Now, if you wanted to put Mr. Metz on here as the shooter, that's okay. But I have to go through the landowner. I just can't give it to you just because your bees are on there. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So that's pretty much it. I know, any questions?
So I can't shoot it the first time.
So look, oh, I know. I'm just trying to figure out how it works.
No, not you. I was saying what the man don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, then there's that, but then the bear are way worse than deer. You get caught. No,
Pigs?
you can't. I wouldn't because, so I got bosses too, right? So I noticed dairy farmer, he was the last dairy farmer in Mon County, all right? Bear was there trying to get his cattle. He shot it and killed it. Well, just like I said, it come to holiday weekend. Monday, our office ain't in. Tuesday, he actually called Monday and got the answer machine and he left a message. Hey, this is, killed this bear, was chasing my cattle. Our lieutenant had us, my partner retired, go write him a ticket. And of course, we got to do what we're told to a point. I also went and talked to the magistrate and explained we had an a-hole for a lieutenant and what was going on, and the magistrate took care of it. Okay. He's like, I'm saving you guys money. I said, I know that, but you don't understand this guy here who's my boss. okay? I wouldn't on that. Now, if you call and nobody comes out or calls you back, and that next night that bear comes back, I'd dust it.
Cause like I said, my hives are by my house. I've
Right.
got livestock, you know, so,
So it was chasing your cat.
well, no, it'd be chasing my cows or my pigs or.
It was chasing your cat.
Or my dog.
Yeah, or your dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, boys around. So I'll just tell you flat out, they're not gonna look at bees the same way they do cattle. All right? Whether that's wrong or right, I don't think it's right. It's still, to me, yeah, livestock, I think, but they don't look at it that way. Okay? The best thing to do is call, and then, like I said, I always try to hurry up and get back. I mean, I called him, he was out in Yosemite or wherever, right? So if they don't get back in touch with you and the bear comes back the next night and gets into it, I kill the bear. I call and say, listen, I did what I was supposed to. You should have done what you were supposed to, which is get out here. Somebody should have. You know, and I understand if it's on a weekend or something, and you call our office or whatever, and, you know, our office isn't in there after 4:30, Monday through Friday. They're not in there on the holidays or the weekends. All right. I don't mean I'm not. I don't get weekends off unless I take them vacation wise. But that's what I would do. It's better not to draw attention to yourself, is what I'm getting at. But you have a right to protect your livestock and your pets. Because I've had people shoot bear. I've had them shoot them right in the middle of Morgantown. And then the city called us, and I'm like, it was chasing their dog. It was in a fight with their dog. What do you want them to do? Well, they discharged a gun in the city limits. Not my problem. I'd have discharged more than one. Okay? But you have the right to protect your life. I don't. So can you all tell me, is bees considered livestock? Well, then, I'm not telling you to, but you have the way the law reads, you have the right to protect your livestock, your pets, you know. Now, if it's chewing up your car or something like that, no. You know what I mean? If it's chasing your dog, getting in a fight with your cat, whatever, yes. But if it's considered livestock, it's best to call us first. Do you all put electric fence around your beehives and stuff? Huh? I know you do. But so that is a good deterrent. I told Mr. and Miss Zabel that I worked over in the Panhandle, the Eastern Panhandle. Man, they had all kinds of stuff getting at everything. So what I figured out was if you take your electric fence, like I bought the rope fence from like Tractor Supply, and I put it on a 2-mile charger, and it will seriously make a deer do a backflip if it touches it. Peel the rope back, expose the wire in there, hook the wire directly up to the charger. You don't want the rope going around there. I want whatever's trying to get in there, I want them to get the full force of it. Okay? With that, I also take aluminum foil and I hang off of the strands of the rope all the way through. And I take a glove, or latex glove, and I dip it down in the peanut butter and I smear it peanut butter on there. And when that bear touches that with his tongue or nose, it'll jolt it. There's 2 things going to happen. That bear's either going to go that way or it's going to go that way. But I've watched deer do backflips touching that. Now, I had to tell these people in the Eastern Panhandle, make sure you turn the charger off first. Serious, that's no joke. I had a guy call me, he was like, man, I got the crap shocked out of me. I was like, you didn't turn it off first? Well, you didn't tell me to. I was like, serious? I got to tell you to turn the freaking charger off? Yeah, So, but if you guys do buy that, you make sure that the aluminum foil, when it's swinging down, doesn't contact the other one. But you smear a little bit of peanut butter on that, that'll keep them out. They'll come up and try to investigate it, and it'll zap it'll make them yell. So, but something to try. And then when you're doing your stackings too, trying to think the people's name up there on Cheat Lake, out in that area. They actually put like 3 strands up, 3 or 4 strands up, and then they come back about like that far. And then if this strand was down here, the next strand was up here, basically like that, because a bear will try to get through all that. Okay. So, they'll try to squeeze through it. But that peanut butter and that aluminum foil, that gets their attention really quick. And what that bear's a bear will have a radius 20, 30 miles. Easy. Okay. So that bear goes from point A to point B, C to D. And it just keeps doing that. As long as it keeps getting food, it's going to keep making them rounds. It might take 2 days for it to hit each spot, but it's just going to keep going. And once it hits your bees, it knows there's food there, and they are going to try to pack the pounds on, and they're going to keep coming back till that food source is depleted. Well, if they go from A to B and C, and they get real pain, and they're like, ooh, I ain't wasting my time there no more, they're going to go from A to B to D. They ain't going to waste that energy going back down here. All right? So that's just my experience in it. And I've had them do that. And then all of a sudden they'll just quit. But bears are hard-headed. They'll, like I said, they'll keep coming back as long as that source, they can smell that honey, and they know. Now my question to you all is this: I was talking to a retired game warden before I come over here. So in the fall, when you guys get your honey out and stuff like that, it's a darker color, right? Why is that?
Nectar. Different, yeah, different.
Nectar's different.
So what I've heard is that people with bad allergies, they want that honey. Is it because the goldenrod's in there? Is that why, and all that other stuff that we got around here?
The trace pollens from whatever it is that you're allergic to, depending on the time of year.
Should be in there.
So, yeah, it should be.
Okay.
So a lot of times in the fall, ragweed, goldenrod,
Right.
stuff like that.
So is that, I mean, people want that honey? That time?
The building immunity system
Okay.
from eating that honey.
Probably easier to
Takes
take,
about a month.
probably easier than taking allergy shots, isn't it?
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is a lot less cheaper.
Yeah, huh? Oh, yeah.
The honey's a lot cheaper.
So,
It works for my dog.
did it?
Oh, yeah.
Because I always heard you get local honey, you know, if you got allergies and stuff like that. So
It helps.
that's what me and him were talking about that. Any other questions? You asked me, I'll tell you. I answered all your questions when I was out there.
No, do you have any bears around here that have collars?
I don't think there's any around here. There might be over toward like Cooper's Rocks, Preston County area. I think they do some. Tucker County, they'll have some. Tucker County was bad when I was over there I was there 2 or 3 years, and it was horrible. You get all these people from out of state, and they rent these places up at Timberline. They think it's cool to throw marshmallows out to the bear. And then they forget to shut the door to the cabin. Well, guess where that bear comes? And then I go up there and write them a ticket for feeding bears. So, because we're idiots. And then they'll take their grease, instead of dumping it down the drains, they'll dump it outside. So we put a trap up. That's the thing. Our wildlife section, easiest way for me to explain this, we're the guys with the guns, not the traps. Okay, I am not a biologist. Because some of the stuff they come up with really ticks me off, because I'm a hunter too, and I don't understand half of it. But they only got like 1 or 2 traps for this whole district. They're 2 traps is what they are. And that door that's in there, they got a bucket that goes back in the back. And when that bear gets in there and hits that back door slams so hard, you can take a 2x4 and turn it that way, it'll chop it in half. We caught a mother and 4 cubs in one. Them cubs are meaner than the mama. They're nasty. And so they actually did some tagging with them, and they weigh them and do all that stuff down there. But it got so bad, when I first got there, they were on this like 3 strikes you're out program with the bears. By the time I left, you got 1 strike, that was it. If you ended up doing it, then there were just so many down there. And then they took out this year an early bear season. I don't know why. I like our wildlife section. Our people are good. But the problem is, if they had to come out here and do this stuff, they would change their rules and regulations. That's just how it is. And of course, I'm down here, and the ones that make decisions are way up here. I don't want to be way up here anyway.
How many, what's an average monthly call you get for bears?
For here, since they implemented you could shoot a buck of doe and a bear all in the same spot without checking anything in first, it would. So I get about 3 a year.
How many before you can shoot a bear?
Anywhere between 8 and 10 a year.
And how many of you have had bears?
Probably all of them. Yeah. And a lot of it depends upon where you live too. But the problem is now people are seeing bear where they've never saw a bear before. When I grew up outside of Farmington, and there was a place called Chatham Hill. When I still remember I was 15 or 16 years old. It was such a big deal that this bear was up there that it was on the front page of the Fairmont Times. Okay? I mean, just people never seen them. We never had them around there. Now you got people killing bear in Marion County, and now we have mange. Mange is only transferred through contact. Okay, so what's that day? We're getting more bear with mange. So you got to have another bear to contact in order to transfer it. Or they're rubbing up against a tree and another bear comes up, rubs up against the tree. And I was sitting in a hunter ed class in Cheat Lake. This guy, 911 called me and said, hey, you need to get a hold of this guy. He's got a bear in his chicken coop. I'm like, where at? It's the western end. I was like, oh, that bear's dead. Called the guy. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, oh, I got a bear. He's inside my chicken coop. I said, is it dead? He's like, no. I said, why not? I didn't think I could shoot it. I was like, you dust it. I'm coming. So him and his father, who is a very elderly man, I get there and they're up on the top of this railing and they're like this and they're like, I'm like, oh crap. So I get there and they come down and the older gentleman was a little bit more skittish than the younger guy. I was like, please do me a favor, take that gun and put it up because I don't want to get shot in the back. They're like, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm going to go over and see if he actually shot it. And he's like, I said, I'm going to go over and see if you killed it or not. And he's like, well, I was like, buddy, I got stuff to do. Like, I can't wait here all night. So I go over and he's like, what are you going to do if that bear comes out at you? I said, he's going to eat this 45. That's exactly what's going to happen. Trust me. So I opened up the door and the bear was laying there and I booted it and it was still alive. And I was like, listen, I don't like seeing nothing suffer, but I really don't want to put a hole in your floor either. He's like, put a hole in the floor. So, put it out, it's misery. It just way, hey, it's nature. You know what I mean? But what happened was that bear had mange. And when a bear gets mange, they get mad and they get crazy. Because what happens is it takes away their sense of smell. Plus, their whole body is moving, itchy. She's like, so no, but that's what happens. And it really, excuse my language, it really, really pisses them off to no end, and they are mean. So you gotta watch, being around the bear with the mange. So like I said, it's transferred. But if you all, I'm gonna give you a phone number if y'all ever have any questions. Does everybody live here in Mon County, or do you all spread out everywhere?
Mostly Mon County.
Mostly Mon, okay.
Surrounding county.
You ought to be getting snow anytime now. But I work some in Preston too. Man, there's a 10-degree difference between there and here. So if y'all got pens, I'm gonna give you a phone number. You can keep these sheets. Write this number down. It's 304-825-6787. That's my Farmington office. That's District 1's office. If you guys get bear damage, look, there's sometimes I've got calls about bear damage and go out there and talk to the person that has them. It hadn't been in this county or Marion. They're like, look, I can put this back together. I'm like, well, you need a bear damage tag. Well, I don't want to kill the bear. Then you better put up fencing, because I'm not going to keep coming back out here. These are your options. These are only options I can give you. And not that I don't want to see you taken care of, but by law, there's only certain things I can do. And what they're going to end up telling me is to tell you, you got to meet us halfway, which means either you put electric fence up or you get somebody to kill the bear. All right. They're not going to come and put a trap out on your property. What they use that for is like developments and places like that, schools up here at Westover. And they've had to trap up there before because bear. Saberton, places like that. But if you have any questions, you can call the office, talk to them. There's people in there who are super, super nice. And Miss Rebecca will answer the phone. Pretty much, if she can't figure it out, she'll find somebody that knows it. Okay. Any other questions?
Is it worth even wasting your time with a buckshot, if you're in town, it's just not that I would.
So what would happen with that, not that you would do it, because you don't look like the type of person that do that. What they would do is end up charging you for illegal method of hunting.
She said not that I would do it, but I think.
If
she
it's
said
out of
something
season,
about buckshot, like
then it could be up to a felony.
There was bear.
So,
around.
instead of
Do
buckshot,
a buckshot or whatever.
buckshot's loud, I would use birdshot. They can actually, which I'm not making fun of you, but that's a good question. The biologist there can actually give you
I guess.
what?
He was asking what she was asking about a buckshot.
Basically, she just wants to put it to bed with a sword behind and not kill it, right?
Well, if somebody might live in city limits, for instance, it poses a problem to shoot it.
It does, because you can't fire any dangerous or deadly weapon within inside the city limits.
Exactly. A buckshot.
Still a firearm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they got it. That's to include a bow, crossbow, BB gun, slingshot. Slingshot's even listed.
So what's a deterrent for somebody who lives in city limits?
Electric fence. But then you gotta worry about the idiot neighbor kid.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the peanut butter.
Tell the neighbor kids, don't be looking the peanut butter on her. So, with everybody else that doesn't live, our biologist can actually give you, which I have a couple out there. They're rubber, basically they're rubber pellets. And it says on the box not to be within 40 yards when you shoot. I've been within 20. Now, the next round I had in the gun was a slug. And this mama had 3 cubs with her. And when I hit her, you thought her world was on fire. And then we went clear around to find her, and I don't know where she went. So it got her out of there. And then they have other ones that you can shoot, and they land, and it makes a big bang. Like it sounds like an M80 going on. Be honest with you, if you're gonna go to all that much trouble and you can shoot that, you might as well kill the bear. Call our office, you know, they can come and get it. I don't know. I can't. But you know, it's not like deer damage and stuff like that. You go shoot 5 or 6 deer, 5 or 6 more just keep coming. You know what I mean? But you can't expect a farmer to fence in 30 acres of corn either. That don't work. Because then they have coons and skunks and everything else to get into it. But if you guys have any questions like that, call over there and talk to the biologists. They're very good people. They are. I razz them a lot, but they're pretty good people. Good.
Is bear spray an option for people like in city limits?
You're gonna end up spraying yourself.
I wasn't sure if like you're desperate, you know, you don't have a firearm or you're just trying to do anything. Like I obviously get there's a small child or like a dog involved.
No, I hate to say this, but if you're in Morgantown, there's people in there probably classified as a dangerous or deadly weapon with what's going on in there. No, it's not. Your options are limited inside the city limits, and don't ask too many questions because they'll probably say something to you about having electric fence up. Yeah, but like I said, our wildlife section is not gonna come and set that tube trap out in the middle of Morgantown, unless it's somewhere near a school, a park, a playground, to where they have a nuisance bear. They just don't have it to do it. Anything else? All right, well, hey.
What is the fine?
Wait,
What is the fine if you wouldn't shoot a deer or a bear?
you got evil thoughts or what?
What is
So
it?
it ranges. Listen, I'd rather shoot like 4 or 5 deer and get caught for it than I would to shoot 1 bear illegally. It's expensive, and then you can lose your hunting privilege for 5 years and all that, and some of it's classified. I think it's the 3rd time you get a violation for a bear violation. It's a felony. They take it serious. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. There's a whole slew of stuff. It ain't worth it. It's not like I pay $100 I kill a bear. There's more to it than that. For what not say, listen, if you got $100 laying around, I'll let you put a little bit of money together and then get her out of jail. And, yeah.
I don't like guns, so I don't shoot them.
But that's what I'm saying, especially with her. You know, the fence is the only way, but just, you guys got questions like that, if you see me out here, stop me or whatever, but I'll help you out as much as I can, but contact my office and talk to them. They're also going to tell you this, to remove any food source that's in the area. So if you feed your cats outside on the porch, your garbage, stuff like that, and you got to do it for a minimum of 2 weeks. Good.
One last quick question. You said the farmer shot the bear so as to preserve his cattle or the calves. The bear was going after him, and it was all good. He shot it. So he called the DNR. The DNR comes out and
DNR didn't come out because our office was closed. We never got the call until Tuesday morning. He called Saturday morning.
Okay, so you got a dead bear out there in the pasture laying there for 2 days.
Yep.
So what ends up happening to the bear? Does the landowner give it to a taxidermist or?
No, he took it off and let the coyotes eat it, and then let the guys that kill coyotes come and hunt off of it.
So if a bear is going after your livestock, you've got a right to protect your livestock,
Yes.
kill the bear. What if you're in a tree stand and a bear comes up after you?
Up the tree?
Yep.
He's gonna have a bad day. You got the right to protect yourself also.
Exactly. If you've got a firearm, you can shoot the bear, right? Then once you shoot the bear, if you kill it, and he doesn't run off, do you have to report it?
Yeah, you have to report it. And that's what I tell people, contact 911 center. If it's like that, just call the 911 center. They'll get you in touch with somebody with the DNR. The problem was we had a lieutenant at that time that did not have common sense. Okay? That's basically what it ended up
So if you
to.
call the DNR and you report, hey, I shot a bear, he's dead, here in the bottom of my
Yeah.
tree stand, then they'll say, okay, that's fine, do with it what you want.
No, we come out and do an investigation on it. So I had a guy over in Hampshire County was hunting with his little girl in a subdivision. This big wooded property that went down like this, boulder out. He ended up shooting a bear because he said it was going to attack him and his daughter. This guy was baiting deer with canned corn. Okay? Canned corn. I was like, what? He's like, oh yeah. So the wind was cutting across this way and the bear was up here in this hollow. The bear stood up 80 yards away like that. He shot it because he seriously thought that bear, because of the TV and everything else, that bear was coming at him and his little kid. The thing that upset that guy the most was he said a cuss word in front of his little girl. That guy was more upset about that than anything. He's like, you got to find me. I'm like, no, you know, I wasn't there, but I have done an investigation on it why you shot this. And what we deemed was that this guy truly felt that this bear was about to attack him. So how do I fault that guy for that? I can't. But I can't speak for every person that works in Brown. Just like when my lieutenant told us to go write that farmer a ticket, which was wrong. It says so in the law, as the magistrate put it and wrote it and made me give that to my lieutenant, which is awesome. Loved it. So, but like I said, you have, just call the office, talk to them. They'll give you, they might be able to give you some of them rubber buckshot and stuff like that. For her, there ain't, your electric fence is your only option. I would be hanging signs up that says caution electric. I'd be doing everything I could, post your property the whole 9 yards and take pictures of all of it. Anything else? Listen, I won't take up your whole meeting.
No, we appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And you guys all have good contact information if you have more questions in the future. So thank you again so much for coming out. We really do appreciate it. And I'm going to start hopping into some old business and such here so we can get through it, hopefully, before we get too far into the 8 o'clock hour here. I tend to be pretty quick, but some of the stuff we got on the agenda tonight is important. So if we go over 8, you guys are stuck. Sorry. All right. Starting with our old business, pro speed order. It's done. You can see it. Okay. Thanks to everybody that was a part of that. Al does have pro speed to sell, so if anybody is in need of pro speed, you can get with Al. If you missed that initial order, I know that he does have some extra for himself, so you're more than welcome to get with him, and he can take care of that for you. And thanks again to everybody that helped with that order. It went off very smoothly, and now this thing is set. Just don't touch too much. The Bee Fair. The Bee Fair was September 12th and 13th. It was a really fun weekend. Our club was represented there pretty heavily as we actually helped sponsor the beekeeper and training program that we had there. Miss Davis actually did most of that throughout the entirety of the 2 days as far as planning, scheduling, providing content for the youth, along with the Mountaineer Beekeepers Association. But it was a great addition to the event that we were able to help provide because it makes beekeepers who have kids feel more comfortable coming to our events when they have something for the kids to do. So it really is a nice draw for folks to be able to come. And I'm glad that our beekeeper training program got to be represented there. Anybody who was there want to say anything about it real quick? Was it fun? Yeah? Yeah, it was. The state's largest honey show. There's 155 exhibits in it, which was insane. It was huge. You were going to say something, Stan?
No, I just said I enjoyed the fair atmosphere where you just kind of wander like around.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit different than what our normal conferences have been in the past. A definite unique shift from the standard sit down and listen type conference. But a very well accepted event, and we had a lot of fun being there with everybody. You can see Chance won Hive from Nature's Image Farms, which was really, really cool. So our club got to be pretty heavily represented. It was nice to see a lot of folks there. So thank you guys, everyone that came out to that. I know it was a bit of a trek. Westminster College. Charlie, do you want to talk about that real quick? No? Yeah, talk about it.
Well, it was I guess they invited us up there, the college did. They got a bee club, so they invited us up, they wanted me to put on the bee beer. So, I got up there before Mike and them, and started setting up the tent and everything. And, later on, after they come, this young lady right there, as you see, I guess for the last 2 years, she wanted to go on the bee beer. And we talked about it for a little bit. Said, well, okay. You know, then I'd be going around and everything. I'd say, hey, where's our victim? That young lady, you know. And, but she did. She's got on the beer, the bees and everything. I told her how to do it and everything. I said, if they sting you, just sit there and grit your teeth. Tell them where it stung and they'll get it out and everything. But she never got no sting. And she was excited about it.
You can see actually in one of the pictures there, the guy with the beard that's like kind of kneeling, that's the teacher. He's a professor at Westminster College and he runs, it's an actual class. So it's a spring class and a fall class. It's called the BuzzFeed Cluster. And I forget, it's a liberal arts college and I forget what the exact terminology that they used, but it's basically like a joint course where they get a credit, an ag credit, as well as a communications credit. He works in conjunction with a communications teacher, and every student in this class has to document their beekeeping journey because they're in the bees once a week through this class. They have to document and make videos about what it is they're doing in the hives as a part of their communications class that they're a part of with it. Very, very unique and probably the only like standard real beekeeping class I've seen ever for a college to have. I mean, I'm sure that they exist elsewhere, but I've not got to see them. So it's really neat to see a bunch of kids who were just genuinely interested enough to take a class. And how much they were interested. We did focus our display a little more for this towards pheromones and what they do, just because we're talking to college kids. It's not like the Italian Heritage Festival where it's just random people on the street. We wanted to try to provide some value to the class itself, so we focused a little bit more on pheromones and what was actually happening to make the bee beard happen and how the process works as a whole. And the kids really enjoyed it. The college put out a little thing about it, so you can see on our social media pages if you're interested. Very, very cool. Hopefully they invite us back to do more stuff in the future.
We made her famous.
We did, yeah, we made her famous. That's how I got for old business. Is there anything we did that I missed? No? All right, on to the new business. Oh, go ahead.
We put up electric fence. The bear was the one, the old one we had. We got the more powerful one out now. It says it'll stop the moose. But the way I set it up, because the last attack, when Mr. Clever should come out, I set it up to where it's 6 inches off the ground, and it's 6 inches every step. Every fence is hot, ground into the ground, the way I have it, up to about this high. If the bear can get his head through that fence won't stop him. But I did that, and he went around and I had a wooden fence that you could buy from Lowe's and put up. He actually dug under it to get his bee on. Remember that? So what I did is put electric fence on the inside of that fence the next time once I fixed it. So if he dug down, he's gonna end up right in the fence.
Okay.
You gotta keep strengthening your fence.
Yep.
Otherwise you'll never stay away.
Stay one step ahead of the bear.
Just make sure you can't get his head through. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, the point being, make sure he can't get his head through. So the 6 inches was good because he can't get his head through that.
Yeah. I talked to a guy one time, he actually puts peanut butter or ham on his electric fence to entice the bear to come into it. To me, that's just asking for trouble. He's gonna touch the fence, he's gonna get off. If he fights on it, he'll tear your fence up.
Right.
So I wouldn't be putting nothing on. If you make it 6 inches, he can't get his head on.
There's a thought.
Early spring, we had a visitor there, I was telling Mr. Clem here, in early spring, he went into the, like, third, fourth, the way his height, it was tangled up.
Mhm.
And about the bear's height, he said, and that's the only time he's been there since he touched that fence, he's been through that, yes.
Knock on wood, yep, that's it. Well, thank you. Or did we miss any old business there? Nope. All right, on to the new business. Start with our treasurer's report.
So you can see, we are having a vendor showcase next year in March, so we had to buy some insurance. They require everybody, we have outdoor vendors, outdoor people now in this building have to buy event insurance, that's what that was for. Pro suite income is coming in, it's not all been collected, but, I've got a lot of cash and checks here tonight, so you'll see that go. The cost is almost $3,000 for the Pro Suite itself, and about another $1,100 between the totes and delivery. So, our ending balance is just shy of $7,000.
Any questions on where we're sitting so far? You'll notice that I did not put any beekeeper in training boxes on this one like I have in the last couple. That's because we don't have anything in transit right now. Everything is either moved or will be moved in the future. So I didn't feel like cluttering the screen with that for this one. But I did make sure that we had a lot of our beekeeper in training materials here this evening so you guys can see what we're actually spending all this money on. So you can see that we're just not taking it, it's not disappearing. Models like this, this is heavy, oh my gosh, I've not lifted this one. Does anyone know what this is?
Wax moth.
Is it a wax moth? Or is it a high beetle?
The wax moth.
Yeah, it's a wax moth, you're right. I just like to create suspense. We have a high beetle over here as well. They're giant models. If you guys have seen any of our education stuff before, you'll know like this, we have setting out quite often at many of our events. We now have a massive version of it that we can set out at events and things that has grubs and things that you can't really make the correct size for the tiny model. So more educational materials that we can provide to our schools and to each other and to our classes just to make things a little more fun.
I just had a question. Is the event insurance monthly or like?
No, it's just that one time, one day.
Yeah, you have to pay for it. You can basically pay for it for the event. So you have to tell them when the event is. So we're insured for the spring vendor showcase that we have. Any other financial questions? If you guys want to come up and play with some of our stuff here at the end, I won't be upset. It's fun. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm done with the finance stuff.
Okay, well, this Easter tornado we had out Sheep Lake, I've got a lot of wood down under it. I'm cutting up in like anywhere from 6 to 9 foot lengths, a lot of it's poplar, and we have a lot of maple. It's free, you want wood, come get it, cut it, haul off, or I'll load your tractor, or I'll load your trailer, or load your truck, you do something else.
Oh shoot, some free wood if anybody wants it. There we go. All right, well, thank you. Next is a state report. Deb's not here
Deb
this
couldn't be
evening.
here tonight, so,
Did she give you a state report?
no, she did not.
Well, I have something I want.
Great. She did want to mention that, supporting the bee bill. So,
That's what I was gonna do.
I think we should all get on our phones right now.
Yes, okay, so how many of you guys have seen or heard about the bee bill? Okay, if you don't know anything about the bee bill, my gosh, about the bee bill, I will tell you here quickly. In West Virginia, the Department of Agriculture has the authority to regulate beekeeping in the state. That was set up through the Apiary Act a whole bunch of years ago. A lot of local municipalities and things take upon their own authority to try to regulate things in a way that they're not supposed to be able to do, and this bee bill will keep them from being able to do that, quite simply. There's more to it than that, of course, so please scan the QR code. But right now, we're in between legislative sessions. So this bee bill is actually going to be going out for the spring legislative session. It'll be going out as 2 separate bills, one for the House and one for the Senate. It'll have an HB number and an SB number. I know it's complicated for those of us that don't know much about bills. I know I'm learning about it now just because I'm helping with this process. But we're gonna have two separate bills. One will be a Senate bill, one will be a House bill. We have lots of support, lots of nice bipartisan support, which is really, really cool. I think this bill itself has already got over 100 shares on Facebook. I mean, people are really, really interested. What we need from our members here in Mon County is for us to reach out to our local representatives. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you to a page that you can actually see which representatives are from your districts. And there's a pre-generated email there that you can send directly to our local representatives here, just to make them aware that the B bill is a thing and to see if they would like to support it. We're looking for sponsors and co-sponsors. If anybody has a quick second to do that, we would love for you to do that. Any questions? It's very important. Morgantown specifically is one of those places that has some ordinances to where they don't allow folks to keep bees. South Charleston is one of the ones that actually started this whole roll of things. A lot of places will allow you to keep bees, but for a fee. If you want to pay their specific fees for it, which they're not supposed to be able to do. So this will kind of streamline all of the regulations behind it, make sure that they're all the same, make sure that it's all done through the Department of Ag, and should be great for beekeepers all over the state. The next thing I got is a holiday cluster. Very fun, and next month. So we've already got the catering set up. You guys picked the menu for that. We'll be going through Savoys as we tend to do. We'll have a beekeeper trading post, so make sure you bring your beekeeping equipment if you want to trade with anybody else, or if you're looking for new equipment. This is a great place to find that stuff. And you can scan that QR code to register online. You can also do it from the link that I emailed you guys. You can also come up front to Amy before you leave. It's $15. Any questions? All right. It's time to vote. Oh man, it's time to vote. We've been waiting for this. Nervous about it, I'll be honest. This is exciting. It's been 4 years that I've been standing up here blabbing at you guys, and now it's time for somebody else to come blab at you for a little bit. We have 3 positions that are coming up right now, the treasurer, the vice president, and the president. And we'll need a vote for each of them. We'll need a nomination and a vote. We'll start from the back and work our way forward, but I will say before we even start this, as I have a million times, that none of us that are here are going anywhere. We're all still on the committees. We're all planning on staying on the committees. We've taken a long time to build what we have and to maintain what we have, and we want to continue to grow it with you all. So none of us are leaving. You're stuck with us whether you want us or not. So new incoming president, new incoming treasurer, new incoming VP. You do have support behind you. Whoever you are, you've got us here for you. So in starting this, I think we should probably, unless somebody tells me otherwise, start from the bottom up and start treasurer first. Do we have any nominations for treasurer? No. We do. Well, we have one suggested nomination. So, Dean, would you like to weigh in for your nomination?
Nobody else wants to do that, I'll do it.
Okay, so Dean Watson would like to, or would accept the position if nobody else is interested in the treasurer position at this time. So we need a nomination of first and a second to vote anybody into any position. So if we have a nomination for Dean.
Second.
We got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Welcome our new treasurer. All right. The next position we have up is our vice president. This one's going to be a little bit different because they're only getting 3 terms. It'll be the same job, of course, but you can only have 3 consecutive one-year terms, which will end you at the same time that the secretary ends. Do we have any nominations for a vice president? We have a nomination for vice president. Paxton has been nominated for vice president. Do we have any other nominations? Or do we have any seconds? Somebody needs to second the nomination. We got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? your voice doesn't count at that point. All right, that's awesome. Congratulations. We have a new vice president. All right. And for my position, for the president position, do we have any other nominations? I nominate Lisa. Elisa has been nominated for the position of president. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have a second on Elisa's nomination? I have a second. I have a motion and a second for Elisa Foster as president. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Hey, we have a new team. Congratulations. It's going to be a great term for you guys, and we're excited to see what you all do, and we're excited to be here to be a part of it with you. And thank you to all of our members for making that as painless as possible. I appreciate you all. And something else, all of you that didn't want to be a vice president or a treasurer or a secretary, think about why you didn't want to do that, because it is work, right? But it's less work when we all do it together. So the reason I say that is because these officers want help. They don't want to do it by themselves because it's not fun. So help as much as you guys can too, because it's all more fun when we do it together. And Pat?
Yeah, I do have something to say.
Yes.
Mikey has stepped down as president of Vaughn County, but he has stepped up as president of the state.
Well, thank you. You guys voted for that, and I appreciate that. It'll be a new position for me, and I'm excited to take the reins there and see what I can do from that position as well. Hopefully I can do some great things for the state and in turn for our club here, because I mean, this is my club family. You guys are the ones that I'm here for. So hopefully that we can continue to do great things through the state and through our local association here. But thank you guys so much.
And I'll be in my ear all the time, so expect to see my Excel.
Yes, we're not going anywhere. Absolutely. Well, we want you to do well. We want all of you guys to be a successful group, the same way that we feel like we have been a successful group. And we're not throwing Nancy to the wind either. You know, she's still learning. We have a lot to learn together, so we're gonna continue to do that. All right, now we're gonna look at some upcoming events. Something that I don't have on here that was brought to my attention. Next weekend, Saturday, October 11th. This coming weekend, Saturday, October 11th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Crossroads Campground, which is at 6827 Old Mary's Pike in Parkersburg. Old St. Mary's Pike in Parkersburg. And if you want this address information, I can get it to you after this. They will be having, the Mid-Ohio Valley Beekeepers Association will be having an event. It's a free event, correct? So anyone can attend for free. Mueller's Bees will be there doing a presentation, and they'll have some other folks. If you guys aren't familiar with Mueller's Bees, she's one of the bigger name beekeeping ladies that does the bee beard. She does lots of bee bearding stuff online. She's very, very cool. I'm sad that I can't go as my family reunion that day, but it is going to be a lot of fun. So if you have time and want to go, that would be a lot of fun. For this year, aside from today, we have our holiday cluster on November 4th. And that's the last event that we have planned for the club as a formal event for the year. Now, it tends to happen that folks will ask us to attend a few holiday functions. We quite often end up at random like Christmas bazaars or things like that. So as those come up, we'll of course let everybody know. But as far as formal events, we have our holiday cluster next month, and that will finalize the year for us. Our committees will meet in that time. And that is my next slide. Our committees will continue to meet in that time, because again, I'm not going anywhere, you're still stuck with me, and so through that, we have committees that meet to prepare all of our meetings for next year, so that Elisa doesn't have to do that next year, so that our new group isn't stuck kind of doing that all by themselves. We'll have all of those meetings, our IT committee meeting, which includes our social media management position, our monthly content committee meeting, which includes our newspaper editor, and our community outreach program, which includes our BIT program. All three of those committees will meet between now and January so that we can provide programming for 2026. So if you are not on any of those committees and you want to be, or if you don't want to be and you feel like you should be, because you probably should be, let us know, because we want you to be a part of those committees, because the money that comes into here is your money. You know, it's club money, and we want it to be used the way that everybody sees fit. So be a part of Mon County Beekeepers Association. We want you. Do we have any more time? Do we have time to talk about winter stuff, or is it late? It's 7:54. It's late. That's fine. Do we get enough winter stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
I just have two things.
Two things.
One is I brought a sample in that I got out of one of the beekeeping magazines a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And it's like there's a shim, sort of, and you put some router grooves in there, and you can put that on your top of your bee cluster and feed them full frames of honey.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, you know, whatever you can
check that out. That's just a shim that you can fit a frame of honey into. So if you have extra frames of honey and you want to feed it back to your bees in the middle of the winter, you can do that. That's really, really neat.
And I took off some sourwood honey, but it smells like licorice. Does anybody know why? Tell me something about it.
Huh. Sourwood honey that smells like licorice. If anybody has any thoughts, Dean would like to know. All right. Yes.
The spotted lanternfly is important.
Yes, it is. That is a good thing to mention, just since we're talking about it. The spotted lanternfly is officially here. If you haven't seen it yet, you're not looking down. They're all over the place. I mean, I didn't see them one day, and then the next day they were just every freaking place. That was my first thought when you were talking about that honey, was the spotted lanternfly, just because it's so new to our area. But if it's not something you know about, or if you want more information on spotted lanternflies and why their issue is, let us know. We got some stuff from Penn State that we can share. Yes.
People that they set the date for the spring conference.
Oh, yeah, yes, good. And we did set a date for the spring conference. Thank you for saying that. It is the last weekend in February, February 27th and 28th. More details will be coming soon. And Wheeling, yes. It'll be at Ogilvy in Wheeling on February 27th and 28th. We'll try to get registration and all that stuff open soon. Yep, let's do some door prizes. Red ticket first. We're gonna start with a beehive log. So I know you guys aren't starting your records right now. Save it for first thing in the spring. But 647. Last three, 647.
647. Nancy, is it mine? Everybody pull out your red ticket. Somebody.
647 on the red ticket. I'm 649. So someone right before me.
Mike, is it you?
Mike, I have it, but I'll let somebody else if you want to draw again.
Okay. I'll draw again. What, do you want something else? There's a bunch of stuff here. All right. 651.
All right.
Winner. Congrats. Honeybee, Tennessee. If you're familiar, this is a tote bag. Could be handy in the bee yard. 640.
There you go.
Honeybee, Tennessee. Way to go. Did you? Good. Now you got something to put it in. Thanks. This is, I actually don't know what this is.
I think they're teaching
I think they're table runner things, like place things. Like if you set your table, this would look really nice on it. 619. Oh, well, yeah, we'll see how they look on your table. That's right, it is. All right. Save this for spring. This is a swarm catcher. 646. 646. 646. 644. Yeah, you're gonna want this in the spring anyway. Congrats. Home is where my honey. Oh, stop. Home is where my honey be. That's really funny. 632. Yeah. Home is where your honey be. And that's it for door prizes.
All right, on to 50.
On to 50-50. How much money?
So we took in 50, so the lucky winner is gonna get 25.
Woo! 159 on the blue tickets. 159. Winner, winner. There you go. Have a good night, guys. Thank you guys so much for attending. As always, we appreciate you. Have a great evening, and we will see you next month. Make sure to sign up for the dinner.
I was gonna say when I gave my $10
Way to go. Congratulations.
to Charlie, that's his
That's healthy. Keep going to bed, so.
She gets mad at
We have like a whole roll of this.
Sometimes the bees come up on one side of the rest.
Yeah, I mean, they won't, but they have that much money. That's all right. Listen, you make it.
I get to it, I'm good. My turn. I'm gonna get you right now. No?
Big old mouse right here.
Yes, sir.
For a while.